Lois here, and welcome back to Her Story, where we are playing as a tough-as-nails detective trying to figure out what's going on in this case of this gruesome murder of one Mr. Simon Smith, I believe his name was. So, when last we left off, we had checked the term body. I had asked you guys for some suggestions for more terms that we could use. We're going to look up affair and cheating because there was some indications that there might have been some infidelity going on in this case of this husband and wife, where the husband is now deceased. He was murdered, or so we think. And so we'll need to look up those terms, but also McOlve, I believe that's how he says his username. I'm not sure, so he'll have to correct me on that if I'm wrong, but he suggested polygraph because this lady here, or her twin, there is a twist here where she might have a twin named Eve. I'm not real sure on that right now either, but or maybe she thinks there's a twin or something like that, but she was hooked up to a polygraph machine at one point in time. So we're going to look up polygraph. That's a great suggestion. We'll look up polygraph, and I also thought of perhaps lies or lying or something like that. Lie detector. We'll see what that brings up if nothing else. So polygraph didn't bring up anything, but maybe lie. Okay, we'll see what this brings up for us.
A week or so ago. It would have been the Saturday before my birthday. You know, I get like that on the weekends, have a lie-in, then want to get up and blitz the house.
So that wasn't the kind of lie that I thought it was going to be. Interesting nonetheless. Let's try this one.
Yes, I'll take a lie detector test.
Okay. So lie detector will probably be in the search bank then.
I've never taken a lie detector test before. Does it really work? My name. That was the only question I failed. Your lie detector works.
I'm going to add that to the session. That seems interesting. She failed on her name. When she was hooked up to the lie detector, that was the question that she answered first, was what her name was. And she said it was Hannah Smith. So that's interesting. Let me add that to the session, I think. Okay. Let's look up lie detector. So we've already seen all of those. Let's see. I'm going to type in name. See what that might bring up.
I would have been a good mother. I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah. Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want her to have a symmetrical name.
Like Hannah or Eve. I might add that. I don't know why. I don't know why. Let's...
Okay, you got me. I'll confess.
Yay, we got a confession.
We were there. It was a dirty weekend. Simon was going to expense it, pretend it was a business trip. I used a made-up name. We stayed at the hotel, had room service, didn't leave the room, had a great view of the river, and you could hear the church bells. Like you said, it was very romantic.
Wonder where that was that she was talking about. Let's go ahead and I was gonna look at lying. I don't know if that'll bring up anything else. No. Okay. Let's go back to affair. There we go. There's one more we haven't seen.
An affair? Simon wasn't having an affair.
I thought before she said that he was having an affair, that he was cheating. So let's look that up. How about cheat? Let's see what that brings up.
Mum and Dad never knew what was going on. We got so good at it. We were so in sync that we'd use each other to cheat. If one of us had a hangover, the other one would go to school. Whoever was best at a subject would sit the exam. There were lots of differences between us. Some things one is better than the other at.
Well, that had to do with Hannah and Eve. I'm gonna look up husband and see if... Oh, okay, that brings up some stuff. Let's see what she has to say about her husband.
I haven't been into work. I guess I've just been waiting to hear from you, hear from my husband.
Okay.
When you suspect someone of murdering their husband. She's crying, I guess. She's sad because she thought she saw her husband with another woman. But it's okay, because she finds out it wasn't her husband, it was his brother. And so it's fine.
Bizarre. Because before she was making up another scenario based on some pictures or a picture that she was shown. And it sounded a little strange then, too. Her interpretation of events might be a little off.
I thought it made me sound suspicious. It's not a normal thing to do, to drive to the other end of the country. I wanted to keep it simple. I knew it was stupid not to tell you everything. Saying I spent the night in Glasgow when my husband went missing, I thought it would, distract you from what was important. It's different now. Now he's
dead.
It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets. It doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Simon. No one murdered my husband because he cheated his expenses for a romantic weekend in Oxford.
Okay. We need to look up Oxford. And probably also Glasgow.
There was a conference, something to do with double glazing, in Oxford.
Okay.
Are you sure? What would he be doing in Oxford if there was no conference? I remember calling him. He said it was boring and he spent most of the time at the bar.
So was he really there? Interesting.
I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep.
What was she trying to get away from? That was the night that her husband was murdered, I believe.
Yes. I got to Glasgow, I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back.
She's lying. She's lying.
No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning.
User tags blank. Oh, can we put user tags in there? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Let's see what the next one says.
When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty. I was driving badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving license on me. But when I told him I was pregnant, he made sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out. It was fine. The hospital must have details when I was looked at. There's a scratch on the car.
So we can change the tags to fender bender. We'll add that to the session. Okay. So, was there more about the hospital? Maybe so.
Ask the hospital.
That's all? Okay.
I don't see how it's hard. We've established I was in Glasgow when he was killed. You've spoken with the hospital.
I'm in a hospital. And I'm gonna try typing alibi.
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
Okay. We are getting somewhere, I think. Tell me more about the mirror.
It wasn't the present so much. It was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror, a nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass, the kind of mirror a princess would have in a story. He made it specially for me. The mirror. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. Haven't looked at it since.
Alright.
Silver leaf? No. He normally silvers them properly. This mirror, it's supposed to look antique. The reflection isn't as good. It's the perfect mirror for someone who doesn't like to look at their own reflection.
Wonder what reflection would be, because that seems to be a common theme in this, with what was in the trash. And over here was the mirror game, and they are twins, and seeing double usually. Does it bring up the same things? Apparently so. Where did the cursor go? Uh-oh. There we go. I was like, where did it go? Well, now it's acting bizarre. I don't know. Let's see if that'll bring up anything. Okay, it does.
Yes. The first time we saw each other, it was strange. We both realised at the same moment, I think. We must have seen each other before, but there was this instant when we first realised it wasn't a reflection. The reflection was staring back. I think I was 5. It was my birthday. My reflection was wearing a party hat and waving. I knew what party hats were from books. And it suddenly occurred to me, today must be my birthday. I waved back, and we just spent ages waving at each other and copying each other's movements. Mother wanted me to grow my hair long, but I kept cutting it myself. I wanted to look like my reflection. She always had short hair when she was little. Mother would hide the scissors, but I would find a way. Cut it with a bread knife, something like that. My reflection would always leave her house and go on adventures, but I never could. Mother taught me at home, and I had books and TV. Oh, TV was magical, but it was only on when it wanted to be, so I spent a lot of time reading books.
Search for books next.
I wanted to see my reflection. I thought that if I touched her, something would happen. We would become one. One girl. The fairy tale was over, the witch was dead, and I'd be restored to my rightful place.
A lot about fairy tales in this game as well, so fairy tale, yeah. Princesses and fairy tales. They talk about that a lot. So maybe princess next. Okay, let's see.
Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me. Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour?
So she likes to make up stories about. Let's say Rapunzel for that one. She likes to make up stories about those police photos. Leads me to believe perhaps she's not altogether there. I mean, I kind of figured that to begin with, but maybe she's just imagining a lot of this stuff.
And the Glaziers. I worked there some weekends, and Simon had a part-time job there too. That was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. Wasn't always rushing stuff. Boys that age are just running around like headless chickens most of the time. You know? Plus he had that look. He looked like a fairy tale prince from one of my books.
Okay. We'll look up prince and princess.
Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him.
And that's not what she said earlier.
Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale. You do what you can. Well, she wasn't my real mother, but she raised me. Do you want to hear the story? It's a real life fairy tale.
That you made up, Hannah? That tells me they're not really twins, just one person, and it's kind of like the Prince and the Pauper story. But I don't know. We'll find out.
Fairy tales. Stories about lost princesses, evil witches, magical mirrors, and lost children. So you see, even before I knew the truth, I'd found it in those stories.
Or perhaps you're making it all up in your head. I'm gonna add that. Let's try Prince.
It's Rapunzel. The story starts when she's born. Mother Gothel, a witch, takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by the prince, and Mother Gothel is furious, so she cuts off her hair and throws it. Actually, her hair's already short here, so that's already happened. So she throws her into the wilderness, and Rapunzel is reunited with the prince, who's blind. But she kills him with her tears, and so it's a happy ending. Is that too much?
Yeah. It's a happy ending. Achievement unlocked. Nice. We'll call it happy ending. I'm gonna put that down. I'm writing a list of things I need to be searching for. Happy ending will be one. All right.
Let me see. Yes. I drove in here because I remember, well, I went over the river, and then there was a church. There. Yeah. And I probably well, I remember seeing a street sign called Princess Street. Yeah, there it is.
And that's
so
definitely where she'd go.
There.
She would definitely turn on Princess Street.
I don't know if anyone really changes. You just become more yourself. Simon was my prince, and that hasn't changed.
Let's try Princess. Couple of them.
Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car.
Okay. Wedding.
We were obsessed with fairy tales.
I couldn't tell.
Not just the pretty, pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent.
They are pretty violent.
Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
Okay, so I get it. You're obsessed with fairy tales. Let's try book. There's a couple.
No, he doesn't have any tattoos. He has a scar down here near his stomach, past his hip. Cut himself with some glass. That was before, a long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off for the camera. But he needs them to see properly, you know. He has to read a newspaper or a menu in a restaurant. Not books so much, or watching TV. He likes TV.
She likes TV as well.
I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people asked, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day, ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
And who is this Eleanor? Add that. It's doing that thing again. Let's find out about Eleanor.
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them.
Okay.
Okay. I parked up in the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle, it was cold. I looked quickly in the living room, nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
Add that.
1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful.
Bodies?
Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
Bodies of Doug and Eleanor? I'm going to... Bodies. Add that to the session.
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day.
So it's not Doug and Eleanor that were
Not that there's anything
bodies.
much to say. It's more just...
Oh. Was that significant? Spilt coffee. I got the achievement for spilt coffee, so we're gonna add that to the session. Yeah. I'm gonna type bodies. Bodies?
If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee, a bruise. When I lost my tooth first, we had to pull our harness to match. Once, I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. But she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. But she snuck a frozen pizza up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies was synchronized anyway. We started our period on the same day, all our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits.
Interesting. Trying to think of what else she had mentioned. Let's see what wedding brings up.
I guess you could call it that, but We were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
Okay.
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow, so we were separated again. I stayed in the attic. It was hard. It was like I suddenly didn't exist. I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognised me, I started wearing a wig. Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant, but I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers, drunk guys I'd met in clubs, parks and alleyways. I was 17. It felt like I was being punished. But it was Hannah who had betrayed us. I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I don't know how to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan.
If she talks any more about that STD she got.
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed, was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I'd slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. I mean, he used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way he would have picked death caps. But the police believed that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
Death caps, huh? Interesting. Tell me more about these death caps.
They said it was food poisoning. There was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They said it was the mushrooms. It was hard to believe. Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them.
Or did they? death doesn't bring up anything, but what about poison?
At the time they said it was poison, food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I didn't. I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids. So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us, there's always been pressure.
Maybe.
I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married. Then my parents died. It was the worst year of my life.
And that was 1984.
Miscarriage and then my parents. Yes, I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back, me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
It's in 1984. Oh, nothing. Does it have to be written out? Sorry, I have a new keyboard and I'm still getting used to it. 19. Nope, we've already seen that. Okay. What about 17? These keys are not laid out the same way as my old keyboard.
A long time. We got married when I was 17.
Okay, but we knew that.
I did. Well, we met when we were 17, both working at the Glaciers.
So they met, got pregnant, and married all when they were 17.
No, I was 15. Carl was older. 17, I think. I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved. Lots of drunken teenage sex. We did it in a church once. It's stupid.
Church seems to be coming up a lot too.
So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months. It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realise who's really important to you, you know? Family.
I have a couple more words I can search now. Let's tag that with Carl. Why don't we go ahead and search for him? Chit chat. What is that? Can we enter a message? No? Is there anything we can do? I can't do anything with this. Okay. I guess. Okay. We'll just keep playing these then.
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band. He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15. Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon.
Okay. She brought up family a couple of times too.
Difference is, she's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze. We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
That's a little messed up. It's more than a little messed up. Add that to the session.
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date, we went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went, kept changing places in the toilet. We only had the one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes. Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems. The next date, it was my turn. At the end, I let him kiss me, but that was it. We didn't want another Carl on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back.
Ouija board.
After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
Okay. This is creepy. This is getting creepy. Sharing guys like that, not typical sisterly behavior. Search Ouija.
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly? She died in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to her, and that gave us the power to find him. That's what we thought then. That people who died tragically leave some kind of magic behind. We used to share dreams. We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
Did you now? Okay, I have a couple I'm writing down so I don't forget, but I wanted to know more about this diary.
No, he doesn't keep a diary. That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. It helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words, it just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page. When I was 8, Mother died. She slipped down the stairs.
Did she?
It was an accident.
Was it?
I had read a diary at that point and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day and I left. Walked out and across the street. It just became our way of life. We would swap places and take it in turns to do things. And we were very careful. Whoever had been out that day would come back and write a detailed diary so that we were on the same page. We had a list of rules that said what we could and couldn't do in any given situation. It was exhaustive. We lived a second life through those rules. Rules for things that could only ever happen inside our imaginations. We would consider all the permutations of future events and agree rules to walk our way through them.
Calling that rules. And that should be our next search term. A couple more here.
Okay. She's being chased. They're trying to catch her because she did something bad. I guess she broke the rules. Or maybe they think she did something bad. Maybe it wasn't her fault. She looks scared, not guilty. Maybe it was mistaken identity. Did they catch her there? I don't know. It lasted about 6 months. I tried to carry on, but everything was different. Hannah insisted I not pretend to be her around Simon, let alone sleep with him. We didn't share him like the others. The rules had changed. Me living in the attic had become weird in a way it hadn't been before.
Yeah, I suppose it would be. That is so bizarre. What is... I remember that. I remember... Oh, this is like a blast from the past. Old computers. Let's see. Did we... Can we double click on that? So these are all the clips that we've watched so far. So I'm thinking, is that the end goal, to get like all of this has to be green? It looks like we're like less than halfway done, if that's the case. All right, let's try. I'm gonna look up story. There's one more there.
Yes, like a story. A beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay. That's how stories usually go. Yep. She talks a lot about magic.
I think it was that time, the first time at the house, in his bed, that I got pregnant. Amazing, right? This fucking magic sperm. And they say lightning doesn't strike twice.
Is this with Simon?
I didn't tell him. And there's 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him. Just waited. Hannah and I were meeting for our birthday, and I told her because I thought she would be happy for us both. I think she was.
Up or not? No, I guess not.
Yes, I'm fine. I won't be sick again. This happens some days. I'm pregnant. It's morning sickness.
So she's pregnant right now. But I want to finish this line of thought.
Well, yes. You found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant.
So he knew that she was pregnant then when he died. I don't know how that... And she keeps saying, talk a lot about family too. Okay, I'm going to... I know the timer just went off, but I'm going to go ahead and check family. There's only one there. Let's see what that is up.
When I was at school, I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till.
Does she have a bruise on her face in that video? That might be the next one of the next ones that we look up is bruise. Bruise. I'm writing these things down. Write down bruise, but also, okay, so we're learning a little bit more about this whole messed up situation with Hannah and Eve and sharing men and being totally obsessed with fairy tales and princesses and princes, and it just seems really, really odd. But I don't know what this chit chat thing is. Let's check the database checker. Let's close this out. So we still have a lot to go, it looks like. And I don't know exactly what all we're supposed to be, what terms we're supposed to be searching for, but and Silver Star is no help because she says, I know some really good ones, but I'm just going to let you flounder. No, that's not what she said. She wants to see us come up with these terms all on our own, which is awesome. I like the challenge, but I would welcome any suggestions from you guys that maybe haven't played this game yet, because I don't want to cheat. I don't want to find out from anyone who has played the game and knows how it ends. But if you guys have any ideas, those of you who haven't played the game, if you have any ideas for what we should be searching for next from things that they've talked about already, or just other ideas that you guys might have, let me know in the comments, because I would welcome that. There's some interesting things going on. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and leave this episode here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.